Hello, everybody. Welcome here. Super excited to be here with my wonderful guest, Analisa. She is a dear friend. We've only just met in Egypt in January, and there was a lot of synchronicity and a lot of conversation that needed to be had between us in terms of the intersection of the old world and the new world and all the ways that we are being present to our own potential and then how we share that in the world. And Annalisa is doing amazing work, and I just really want you to meet her. So I've written a little intro. But basically, I know that you are a maverick. I know that you are an innovator. I know that you are an entrepreneur. I know that you really, really care for the planet and you care for life itself to thrive. And I know that you've given up a lot on this journey to be where you are and that you are a leader and a leadership coach. And I wrote here, these are your own words. You look at how to create potential for all of life to thrive. And I really, really love that. And I just want to mention that you also have a podcast that it's so valuable in the world right now. And I'm going to put below all of her details and include in the podcast. And the podcast is called Future Food. And she is spotlighting individuals who are building a better future through food. So it's right up our alley, and I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today. So thank you for joining me, Annalisa. Please share. Please share. I'm excited to hear you.
I'll start by sharing that meeting Anouk totally changed my life. If you have been on an expedition with her anywhere in the world, then you know we speak the same language. We probably have been through the similar things, but particularly going to Egypt, which, given that I work with food, is the birthplace of agriculture and is the center for fertility, but also has been a portal for wisdom throughout the ages, was so incredible. And when I first met Anouk, I was like, she's speaking a language where I feel it in my body, in my soul. I receive her words, even if I don't fully understand them yet. So if you're new to her channel, if you're new to her work, I encourage you to just keep listening and keep digesting because it starts to make more and more sense and it will stir something within you that wants to come online right here and right now. And then I've also done the astrology session with her, and I've done astrology many times before. I was born into a family where we have, like, you go to your general practitioner physician for a yearly checkup. We would go to our family astrologer and get a reading, and I had my birth chart done. But it was a completely different experience to get the reading with the Nook. It's very in depth and really understanding that when we're talking about sentient intelligence, meaning connecting to all that is and that all that is beyond in the greater worlds that are available, um, who and what are we connected to and what are our greatest pathways for connection, which I didn't even know was a thing. Didn't even know that was possible. So thank you for illuminating that for me and opening these pathways because it's a gift that keeps on giving and we are all walking this path together. And right before we logged on, I was sharing, I just watched Anouk's conversation that she had on the sentience of trees and the nature of collaboration, which is a core value of my work and what I do and what I really, really care about. And you mentioned regeneration, which is the word I want to start with, and how I got to even being in this space. Because ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to have an impact. And I felt that there was a call on my life to do something with the gifts that I've been given. So the thoughts, the words, the talents, the ability to make, just like the what resources I can provide towards the world. And of course, the question then becomes how? What is the channel and the way that we are then going to be of service? And what is the kind of world that we want to create and step into and steward for future generations? Meaning, what does it really mean to have an impact? Like, what is it? We can all say that, but what does that really mean? And for me, I thought originally that the answer was going to be business. And I have always been a generalist. I've always been someone who's super curious. So I ended up going to international business school, which meant international is anywhere in the world and business is anything. It was the most non-committal thing you could possibly sign up for. And that put me in a world that was really closed because all of my classmates thought that business was either investment banking or management consulting in a very narrow view that's focused on a lot of extraction typically of what is success. And it did not resonate with me. I often felt like a fish out of water, but I didn't yet have exposure or role models or other ideas of what could be. And then I found the world of entrepreneurship and particularly the startup ecosystems where it was about this was 15 years ago. So in about 2011, I was introduced to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, nanotech, biotech, robotics, you name it. And I was part of teaching a lot of executives, governmental leaders, and other folks who were in positions of power about these technologies that were on the horizon, on the trajectory, and that we even knew 15, 20 years ago were going to completely change everything and be part of it. And what would that mean for your business? What would that mean for the nation that you live in? What would that mean for our jobs? Like really sitting with the big ethics and questions behind it. And at the same time, looking at how do we break down silos to support convergence? So many times we stay in our own lane and it's like we put blinders on and we're only focused on what we're doing, but there's so much potential around us if we open up and we connect. And that just includes with people in your same industry who might live somewhere else. It could be people that are working in something completely different, but who have a code or knowledge or a best principle that you can adapt. And I spent a lot of this was my first experience being an ecosystem developer. And that would be how I introduce and describe myself today is looking at how do we create the ecosystem with the enabling conditions that enables all of us to thrive. And all of us includes nature, animals, the planet, but also you as an individual, and then your business, your community, your family, anybody else that's under your stewardship. And I would sit and look at, okay, how do we bring together executives, university professors, government officials, and the entrepreneurs to break down those silos and to build real relationships that are founded in trust? And what creates trust? That is having a clear vision of where we're going and what's the direction, as well as values that orient how we're going to get there. What is it that we stand up for? And then our genius, which is how do you like what is that gift that you're bringing? What's that focus? Because many of us dilute ourselves. Anouk often talks about the frequency or the harmonics of you being in your full resonance and potential. It's also you being focused on like what is it that I can really do and not dispersing all of your energy and your power that it becomes very weak. So it's keeping that contained and having boundaries around it. So I would do this on a very high level. And then after about 5 years, I got really disenchanted because I noticed that there was always another thing. It was first like artificial intelligence. If we just invest in this, it's going to change our world. It's going to save us all. Like this is really the secret. This is the thing we need to do. And then it was the 3D printing, and then it was the robotics, and then it was nuclear technology. And it was like, okay, every 6 months we say the same story with a different tech, and nothing really is changing. So that feels a little bit suspicious to me when we're talking about creating impact. And I realized that people wanted to invest in the shiny, new, exciting thing that felt like the silver bullet, but they weren't really to look at the holistic, the big picture as much because it's expensive and it takes time and it takes patience and a much longer term view. And they weren't really willing to do the hard things. And when I say the hard things, I mean changing hearts and minds, dealing with culture, society, infrastructure, even nature, which moves way slower than our world and the pace and the business world that many of us exist within, where it's like, okay, this broke. And also, we'll just do a software update and we can change that tonight. And then we'll do this and we'll do that. That's not how nature works. It's going to take you a year to grow your tree, like the next harvest, not even a tree, depending on what you're growing. So this all culminated in a redirection from the universe where I was working on a startup and I was there for 5 months and we lost all of our funding and I got fired overnight. And I was like, whoa, I'm an A-type personality. I did not think this was going to happen. I don't have a plan B. I had just started this plan A. So now I'm unemployed and I'm on benefits and I have the gift, in hindsight it was a gift, to have time and space to sit with and explore what is it that I really want to do and where do I want to be of service next. And the place that I started was looking at what is my passion? What is it that I really care about and that I burn for? And I felt so much fear in the beginning because there's a danger in making your passion your profession. What if you do it and then it stops being passionate because it was fun when you didn't have to put the weight of earning money or some other thing? And then, like, it loses that creative spark. Or what if you then don't love it? There just was all this stuff of like, I didn't want to kill it. And for me, my passion was food. I was living in Copenhagen where the new Nordic gastronomy movement was starting, and many of the world's best restaurants were getting their start. We were going out to eat at these amazing places. There was a very buzzy feeling in the air around what was possible and being in a center of innovation for that. And I allowed myself to explore and to go to conferences and to talk to people and to learn. And what ultimately launched me on this path into food was going to a conference, and I talk a lot and I ask a lot of questions, and I'm very curious. Anouk knows because I was like the person on the Egypt trip being like, what about this? What about that? What about always seeking information all the time. Um, and while we were at this conference, we were in a breakout and just discussing what we'd heard. And I was sharing my opinion. And then we heard the bell to go back into session. And as I was getting ready to go, I felt a tap on my shoulder. And I turned around and there was a woman and she said, "You seem to know a lot of things and a lot of people. And we are a corporate innovation division for a large food and beverage company that is focused on the future of taste. We want to be making investments into innovation and the future and what this could be, what is the future of taste? And we need someone in this region. And you seem like the perfect scout and candidate to find us the right people. Would you be interested?" And I was completely floored. This person was asking me, would you like to drink coffee with very interesting entrepreneurs that have the ideas of tomorrow and are building tomorrow? And we're going to pay you to drink the coffee and then decide if we should give them money. And I was like, this is a job. Like, this is my dream job. I would love to do that. And the next day I started my company, and that was really the beginning of me becoming an entrepreneur. But the gift was that this woman, her name's Marika King, she saw me and saw my gifts immediately and then created an opportunity on the spot based on what I could offer. And I've had a few examples of that in my life where I was able to really be in the frequency of this is what I can do and I'm really brilliant at. And when you're tapped in, it's like the world's on fire. And then we do things that we're like, why did I do that? That was like so not me, part of the learning. But that was my first experience of really working in my genius and absolutely loving it and feeling like I was living a dream that I couldn't believe someone's paying me and paying me very well to do this. What that also did for me was put me back in a position of being in the ecosystem developer. So I'd strayed from that. And now I was able to talk to folks all across the supply chain of food and understand what were the investment opportunities. And then I would basically vet the founders because when you're investing that early stage, it's about the people and whether or not you believe that they're going to be able to bring the idea to life. So it's going to change 1,001 times, but what are you willing to bet on the human potential? And we would talk extensively about what is your vision for the future of food? What is the vision for the future of the company? How big do you want to take it? Do you want it to be global? Is it local? Is it going to IPO on the NASDAQ? Are you wanting to be a craftsman and spend the next 50 years doing this? Like, what is the level that you're looking for? And then once that was set, we got into the values, meaning how do you work? What kind of collaborators are you looking for? Because none of us are going to be building the future of food alone. And then going back to that place of the genius. And this was really key because I saw around me that so many startup deals were falling apart. And in general, transactions will fall apart because people fight. They disagree about the direction of where should we go or the values of what's the right way to do it. A classic one would be the person that wants the cheapest option and wants to pay the lowest price every time versus the person that cares about sustainability and it might cost more money, but it's better for the planet. And those two people are always going to clash in any big decision. So if you know that early on, maybe you don't choose to work together because that's not, it's going to create friction on the path of what really wants to be born. But you have to do that inner work to understand what's going to come through and how it's going to be. So I did many transactions with this, and I was consistently astounded that we would put millions of dollars into these new ideas and then give zero money to support the leaders in developing their capacity to be the stewards of this and to get the returns. And it was generally underinvested in to really support capital from that or put capital into these leaders. And that's what led me to being an executive leadership coach, which is what I do today, in addition to hosting the Future Food podcast. So at some point in this ecosystem development work, I realized that I was a bottleneck and that people were coming through me to meet other people. And there's only so many hours in the day. So I went ahead and created this podcast where I interview people about what is their vision for the future of food, what are they creating, and how to get in touch with them, how to collaborate with them so that people can find each other and connect peer to peer. And it might be through my platform, but it doesn't require me to be a blocker within that. And there have been amazing results. People have changed degrees, they've gotten jobs, someone got a bioreactor, there's been investments that have been made, new ideas have been planted, so many things have come from it. So that really showed me the benefit of story and connecting with people on this level, but also having the ability to talk about shared vision. And when I started working on food, I was really interested because I'd come from this highly technical background and like how do we bring the most extreme technology which can feel artificial into the food system. And at some point along my journey too, I had the big aha moment of realizing that nature is technology, but we don't talk about that. Nature has been innovating for billions of years and is way more brilliant than any of us give it credit for. But we sit in the lab in the university trying to come up with the next big thing versus going out and listening or observing or seeing. And I've done a podcast on biomimicry that dives deeply into this topic of how we can innovate using nature's genius first and foremost and looking to that as the answer versus thinking that we have that we have to do it alone because we don't and we shouldn't. We are so much more powerful when we're co-creating in that space. And that led me into the world of regeneration. So, particularly when we talk about regenerative agriculture, which would be the most known in food, but the idea of regeneration is linked to indigenous principles, very old wisdom. It's a remembering, it's a return of looking at whatever comes from nature is going to go back to it. And how do we build businesses, ecosystems, lives, cities, countries where we honor the fact that everything is going to have to return from whence it came, including us? And when you're dealing with regeneration, the key principle is that you're looking at how do you create the conditions for life to thrive, but also we're looking at diversity because that creates resilience. And there is no such thing as a monoculture when we're really looking at nature, yet we built our agricultural system on monocultures. It doesn't really make any sense. And of course, that then opened up a whole world to connecting more with spirit, connecting more with nature. Um, yeah, I could go on forever and ever, but I'll stop talking there in terms of how I reached this moment and why I'll just add the last piece of why I see food as the most powerful vehicle for change that we have. It's because food is also everything. And many people think food is just literally what you eat on a daily basis. But food is agroforestry. If you look around the room that you're in right now, there are built materials that had to come from the natural world. Our colors come from the natural world unless they're made in a synthetic way. Our health and well-being is rooted in the natural world. Same with education. You can't really learn on an empty stomach. It is the fibers that you're wearing. So much of what our clothing is made up of is comes from fibers or it comes from leather. So when you start to understand that, even I was talking to a perfumer last night, and most of the ingredients in perfume also comes from nature and oils. And I know Anouk is incredible at making scents and all those kinds of things. So when you understand that, it expands the awareness, going back to that I wanted international business, the most broad and non-specific thing. Like working in food gives you this great holistic perspective, and it's the great connector. It is what connects us on a daily basis to nature. We can't survive without food and the gifts of nature. It is our culture. It's the way we connect to one another. It's the way we relate to our history and our ancestors. It's the way we mix. I mean, I could go on and on and on about why it's so awesome, but that is how I ended up where I am here today now.
Wow, so much there, so much there. Thank you so much for sharing this. I wanted also to mention your wonderful container that you held called Rooted, and you very kindly invited me to speak at one of your sessions. So super grateful to that and a deeper understanding of Rooted and values. I know that you have a new program that you start this month, so tell us more about that.
Totally. So the three things I work with my clients are getting clear on that vision for the future. So most of us do operate on autopilot until the day that you wake up and go, I have a desire on my heart that wants to come through, and I am not honoring what it is that I'm really here to create. And whether you already are running a business or you've stepped on a path of entrepreneurship, or you just want to design your dream job and find the right place to work, or wherever you are in this space, getting clear on what is the vision I have for my life is the first piece of a blueprint and getting to a life you truly love. Because if you don't know what you want, you're just going to say yes to what other people offer you and start serving the needs of others consistently versus tapping into that for yourself. So I run a program that's called the CEO Project, where we create a 3-year vision for your life and your leadership. And I also work with clients one-on-one then on actioning that vision and bringing it to life. And I'm very adamant about the fact that before you start your business, before you even think about your next chapter as a CEO or any other form of executive, you've got to create the personal vision before the organizational one so that your business is in service of the life that you want to live. Too many people are living in service of the work. And it's just work. It's meant to be a form and a vessel of creation. And what does that look like for you? And really believing that you can have it all and opening up this dream space of what could be possible if you let yourself have it all in whatever degree that could be and whatever that would look like. And then we get into the work of doing the values. So we just got off of hosting a 10-day online event that was a conference around what does it mean to live a rooted, values aligned life. And the episode with Anouk will be released on the Future Food podcast. So you can catch up with that. She did an incredible conversation too on the time that we're in and why now is the time to live your values and to step into that soul resonance. And we are so supported from the celestial beings and astrology and many other factors to step into this. So it's about you rising and you doing the thing and taking the step and going in that way. So we did a lot of deep work because once you start looking at your values are the compass that helps you to have direction, but it's also what you stand for. And it is the root of who you are. And when you start to define them, you realize the ways in which you're stepping on your own values, you're undervaluing yourself, but also where there's things in your life that are not in alignment. So, the participants in this, we've all been breaking up with things left and right because we can see so clearly, like, whoa, I have been settling for something that was truly not meant for me. And now, as long as I'm staying in that place, I'm not really open for what's coming and what's next and what's capable. And that's leading into a program now that's called the Values Reset, where in 4 weeks we define the 4 values, the core values that really define your constitution. You don't want to have too many values because they start competing with one another, but you get to create your own personal definition of what it means for you. And it gives you the benefit of having language where you move out of emotion for why are you upset about something to, oh, I really value communication and that was not transparent. So I feel like my value was stepped on because I was in the dark about something or you didn't tell me something instead of I'm just so pissed at you. That's not very productive for how you can improve the relationship and come back into a place of collaboration and looking at how do we further fine tune our dynamic and to grow it. It's also a very powerful tool when it comes to innovation because most of the time when we're deciding what's our right next step, we don't know. We can listen to spirit, our intuition, but it can be helpful to have some guardrails that support you in understanding what can be. So if you know what your values are, mine are curiosity, communication, leadership, and community. And if I'm looking at what's the right next step in my business, I'll ask myself, what would most honor my value of community and feed that? If that's what I really love, and if that's not present in my life, I don't feel like me, then what could I do there? Okay, if I was going to honor communication, what would that open up and make possible versus feeding my curiosity? And if I had to find a solution that hit more than one, what would that be? And all of a sudden, it creates new ideas and new possibilities for what could be done. And it also then serves as a filter. So sometimes you're overwhelmed in decision making and you're like, I can't tell why something doesn't feel right. And if you're really good, you're better than me, you trust your hunches and you listen to your body. I'm not there yet. I still need some help to help me be like, yes, this is the right thing on the way. But my values have been so instrumental in helping me to be really clear on what's an aligned collaborator and why I am a no or a yes to something so that I can do that with more confidence, because otherwise I have a people pleaser who will not want to say no to people or reject people or offend people or make people feel bad. But ultimately, I need to do what's in alignment for me. And we only have so much energy, time, and resources to spend. So, going back to not diluting your frequency, you've got to be in that place of clarity around what's right for you. And then I also host a program that's around identifying your genius and building your business or your organization around that so that you can stay in what your God given gift is and have other people around you that fill in the gaps otherwise. So those are a lot of different things in terms of it. And where I am highly passionate, and also where I was so excited to talk to Anouk today, is how do we build a future that's based on collaboration? Because this old way of like we're in competition or your success is a threat to me does not make any sense. It doesn't. There is more than enough for everybody. We are so abundant. It's just, and there's no way any of us can harvest the whole tree by ourselves. If you've ever seen an orchard, it's like you need a lot of hands to be able to make the most of the bounty that's offered there. So, particularly in the food world, I find that people really understand that because working with nature, it just happens in a different way, but we all understand that we need each other and that this is not going to happen by one person dominating the market. We need all the people saying this is a thing, and then it will be the thing and it will reach its tipping point. And I loved what you shared on your collaboration around trees talk the other day, that when you have a shared purpose and the trees will come together around this, then everybody is operating on the same frequency. And I see that in so many ways right now, that when we tap into it, and it's also when I design my programs, I also run a leadership circle for different leaders working on the future of food, where we journey together for a year and support each other's businesses and really embody what it means to be a regenerative leader. But we have a shared purpose, which is being invested in each other's thriving. So every step of that way, and every single day, you have a WhatsApp group chat where people are like, give me more of you. I want to see more of your full expression. You are playing small. What if you did this? What if you went bigger? I will be your shoulder to cry on. I'll be here for you tomorrow. If it sucks today and it's awesome tomorrow, great. But removing this idea that you have to struggle, you have to go through it alone, like that people don't want you to succeed. When you actually put yourself in a room where everyone is your biggest cheerleader, most of us have never had that. We've all had a lot of people try to beat us down in little ways, whether that's your faith tradition or your anything you can think of. And for Rooted, if you're interested in accessing it, we do have all of the recordings available too for $22. That includes the workbook. So you can go deep into it and we can provide the link. But we talk a lot about all the different ways that our values are inherited from the places around us. And then what it means to remove that muck to get clear on what do I really stand for? Like, what really is my essence, my signature, my being? And how do I let that shine? Because it's about time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love all of that. It is about time. It is so about time. It is so about time that there is not even time isn't even the thing anymore. We are in it. Like we can look down at our feet and say, wait a minute, this looks very different to where I was standing a few months ago. And this is truly the reality that we are beginning to be aware of, but we are already inhabiting a reality that there is really no choice in staying the way we thought was going to be okay. There is,
No, no, no. And you don't realize how much you've been settling until you've experienced what else is possible, whether that be in your health, your finances, your work. Like most of us put up with things that are very draining to us and we think that's normal and okay, versus getting to be this big life force. And I love, even if we think of the values work, I want to talk to you about this, Nook, because one of the things that people will come to me and say is that, well, my thriving is selfish. And we don't need more selfish people in this world. And I find that really interesting because so many of us are willing to be in positions of overgiving and self sacrificing and being in service of others that you do lose yourself and you don't even know what you need, or you feel guilty about taking a nap or feeding yourself, like even sleeping, basic things. But then you're not really able to show up in the best possible way for others. And it is like if you have a garden, you need to be watering those plants for them to thrive. They need sun, or maybe they need sun and shade. They need proper nutrients in the soil, and you are no different. You need your equivalent of water. You need your equivalent of the sun. You need your equivalent of whatever that nutrition is that supports your growth. So, why do we neglect that for ourselves? And why do we not think of ourselves as worthy of receiving it? That we don't give ourselves that gift first before pouring into others and tending to others. Um, and I really find this to be a fascinating dynamic. And the same with that other people get to pour into you and you get to receive it. There's a lot. I think there's still a lot there that we collectively need to work through to not have it be from this place of guilt and shame and I'm doing something bad. I'm being selfish. I don't know if you have anything to say to that because I see it still quite a bit.
I feel very strongly about that, I often talk about the stories we tell ourselves, the stories where we believe, and the untruths that we believe are ours. And to unpack those untruths or those belief systems or those old stories that weren't even ours. And a lot of that um, is to do with society, the society constructs of yes, or the culture that we inhabit, the religion that we may have been born into, the dogma, the everything that governs our reality, and in many ways has framed our our identity on some level. We need to just let go of that old frame because the only way to be an evolution and to be an evolutionary teacher and leader and master crafter at whatever it is that it's our inspiration and our curiosity needs to be from that place I am, the place I am. I am the divine spark. I am the essence that embodies the life force of creation itself.
Yeah.
When that and when we remember that, it's a bit like, wait a minute, I often talk about not sweating the small stuff. All of a sudden, everything becomes clear and less heavy. And yes, a lot of the heaviness. I just came back from Rome. I had a very beautiful time in Rome, and I also saw a lot of, um, and I am Italian, but I saw a lot of old world um, imagery that made a lot of sense for a society that believed in sacrifice, that believed in pain, that believed in suffering. And I don't choose that. And I know that so many of us have understood that we don't move forward in this kind of frame of identity anymore. So, oh, I got shivers as I say that. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up because it's not real. It's not real. And if it ever
The
comes,
choice.
yeah, if it ever comes, oh, I'm gonna have a nap because it's so hot, and then a part of you says, oh, no, no, how are you gonna advance if you don't dot dot dot? I was speaking to a friend today, and it's like this I must do, this I want to do, and this I won't do because I don't need to because it's not real. So, yeah, thank you for what you are doing and how you are sharing yourself in the world in terms of holding CEOs and leaders and providers that will be the ones spearheading the new reality coming, the new businesses coming, the new advancements in technology coming. Because yeah, we need to be ourselves. I want to say this, yeah, this is the time. So thank you for
I
bringing that up. And if it feels,
Sorry, I have to add something because I have goosebumps all over my body now too. Goosebumps for me is always an indication of truth and resonance of like this is powerful, this is coming through, or there's something higher than us that is being shared. You may be someone like that too. But that was one of my first indications of like how spirit moves through me or communicates as a vessel that gets to bring things to life. But as you were, the who we surround ourselves with and what we take in really matters here because there is a big. I was just talking with one of my coaching clients where her boss believes that everyone around her on her team and in her organization needs to struggle because she struggled to get to where she is. And so she like creates a culture where that is the truth. And my clients like that's not true and I'm not you and I don't want to struggle and we don't have to. Like why are we choosing this and creating drama and chaos? It doesn't it's so not necessary. And once you see that, you can't be around these kinds of people anymore, but choosing your community matters, whether that's a Nooks community. She brings together amazing people and lectures and through her groups and through her sessions and through her trips, or it's the community of people that I work with. That's going to feed your soul and help you step into the next level because you can't do it alone. I see the value of it in my life and I consistently curate and continue to curate people who really, 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 truly support my thriving. And if they don't, I call it out. And if it continues, they got to go. It's as simple as that because it's going to bring you down. And it's there are people that really want you to succeed and they want you and again going back to the urgency, the importance is the world needs you. The world needs you operating in your gifts and being of the highest possible service and bringing the life, bringing the joy, bringing the fun, bringing the play, bringing like the ability to rest and know that we're all going to be just fine. Like it's going to be great. Like no, none of this finger wagging type stuff. So I consistently see how much it matters that we move forward together. And the same goes that if you are always the leader of your own life. So even if you don't run a company, and I know Anouk has said that many times, you are the creator of your reality and you are a leader within your home, your community, your family, just the way that you move through this world. So this applies to you no matter who you are. And being with people who get it is going to really support everything and to help you on the days where it feels extra hard because we are still dealing with the remnants of the extractive system. And that's when even I work with a lot of folks who are creating new and innovative things. And they need to be around other people creating new and innovative things because they're speaking a new language and bringing something new. And it might be that they're the first in their field to do it, but they're alongside other people who are pioneers. And that in its own right is being like, we're all building this new world together. And if you identify with that and want to be a part of it, like I'm also always more than happy to have a chat to be like, how do we have you be of highest service? Because we need you. And it's not about me or my business. It's about all that is and on the way. And I'm so excited about like what's coming. I'm like, this is so
Yes.
exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
Yay!
Yes.
Truly
And
excited.
yeah, thank you. And thank you for bringing the fun and the childlike sense of adventure and that awe-inspiring feeling because we that's truly who we are and we forget again, you know what I just said, sweating the small stuff is so real for us, so real. It has been so embedded in our system, and I think maybe it's partly to do with being a child and being fed education and then having to, jump those hoops and hurdles and perform and have some kind of number that says, oh yes, you're a good student. Yeah. And I know that people are different and they move in the world at different speeds. And whichever way that we move in the world, um, that is good. That's your way. And it's really important to literally do you, be you, and share you with the world because, as you said, it is all about the adaptation, and we can only adapt in collaboration. We will not survive if we don't understand the the life force that exists within all of us. And if it flows, it flows, and if it doesn't flow, do something about it.
Yeah, and I had so much fear around can I even be supported in collaboration? Like I really that took me a lot of inner work to be able to receive really great partnership and collaboration and to let that be true and to be seeing that other people want to support my success versus if I do these 5,000 things for you, then maybe you'll help me just a little bit. Or I feel really guilty asking for favors, but I very readily give. So many of us have, it might be old wounding or the past life stuff around why it's not safe to receive or to be fully seen or to be fully supported or whatever comes with that. But I see that many times this is about when we even say returning to your true nature, it's like returning to who you were as a child because you didn't care. You were just having the best time ever and letting life flow through you, whether that be a tantrum or like running around or just dancing or singing because why not? And that's, we should be able to do more of that. Like whoever said that wasn't okay or not allowed to be the thing. And I also am such a big proponent of diversity. Like be who you are. Let's celebrate that. Why do we create all this separation between how we need to be? Like who made these rules is weird. I don't get it. I don't
It's,
know. I'm
it's
tired of
so,
the oppression and being controlled. I'm like, this is so not necessary.
yeah, just such a powerful example of the age that or the epoch that we are now finding ourselves in, that we no longer need to live by somebody else's dream, by somebody else's desires. And it's
And
time
why
to
are we
choose.
so willing to? Like, why are we so willing to build someone else's dream and then feel like if we go after our own, then somehow we're going to get yelled at or be in trouble or be considered bad? So I'll do you, but I won't do me.
Hmm.
I really, I still don't know what the root of this was, but no.
The beautiful thing is observing and then understanding that you just have to loop around. Like I do that with myself often, where I find myself having what I call the old thought. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is an old thought. You used to think like that, but you no longer think this way. You see life so different. So why would you be even entertaining that old idea, the old ideal, the old thought of who I might be or who I, um, whatever, how I want to show up in the world is so much more about not even wanting. It's just a deep desire to just fully be, to just fully um, express the soul. And the soul is so powerful, like you can't really contain that. That's the life force that I keep speaking about. The same life force, this beautiful image of a majestic oak, I think is an oak behind you. And look, it starts with that tiny little acorn and it knows. And I believe it dreams about being this powerful oak and
Yes.
being truly what it is. I cannot be sure, but I am pretty convinced that an acorn says, "Oh, that's where I'm going. That's what I'll be when I grow up." And yeah, maybe it's a little bit about that. It's a bit about growing up in our mindset. And I often talk about mind bending. We need to mind bend around those old constructs or contracts or beliefs because yeah, just like rip that all open and be fully free. The freedom of the soul is evolution.
Yes. I love how you gave yourself a pep talk and can do that where you're like, hi, Anouk, a present day. You are being the old version of you, and we don't do that anymore. That's so cute and awesome. I'm going to do that more and be like, hello, I'm interrupting this for now to be like, we don't do that anymore. The other thing that was coming through as you were talking is about the energy of collaboration. Because for a long time, too, in my work and on my path, I felt like I had to do it all by myself and figure it out all by myself. So I was resistant in the beginning to having a coach or a business supporter or even staff, like literally hiring anybody to support me in any capacity because I felt like I needed to do it. And if I didn't do it, then I wouldn't be successful and I wouldn't have earned it. And I was very much like, I'm a Capricorn, like, I'm going to climb the mountain by myself one step at a time. And then I realized that it's going to take forever and be very painful and kind of not fun. And I want it to be
Exhausting.
fun. At this point, I'm just like, I would like to have fun doing what I'm doing. That's also why I chose entrepreneurship, is so that I could make the rules and live the life I want. And that's be my happiest and best self. Um, so with that, I realized more and more how the best things come from collaboration, because you're bringing in the different energies and it opens up the capability of what can be true. But there's something that even happens in the conversation, like this collaboration right now, that seeds an idea that opens something up. It can come from conversation, it can come from reading it, but it comes from an act of doing where you try. You might not have the 5 year plan or the full form or even the full idea of the vision. And sometimes I use the word vision and people then get this like really big idea of what it needs to be. A vision can just be a sense of desire that you can't get out of your head or your heart or your stomach. And you're just like, I don't know, I just really wish I could, or I dream of one day. It can be a feeling of direction or a place you need to be, but there's some kind of call where you go, I can't ignore this. Like there's just something there. And then we want to explore and excavate and see what else wants to come through and then look at how do you honor it. But whenever I work with clients and even myself, I see that allowing the first thing without choosing how it needs to be done or what it's going to look like or getting into a rigid plan creates something so much more magical. And if you compared what a workday looked like for me 5 years ago versus now, I literally take my day hour by hour. So I might have a few calls where I'm excited about the collaboration and who I'm working with. And from each of those, a whole idea bomb lands of like, here's the next thing we should do. But we have a shared vision of like we're working towards the future of food and we believe in a regenerative food system. That's a baseline of where we're headed that is not in opposition. And we share similar values around wanting to see each other thrive, wanting to be the full expression of who we are, wanting to celebrate diversity, wanting success. So then it's not this weird dynamic of like, someone trying to pull you down. That's not the vibe. So we're always held in the frame of the energetics of the collaboration without having it to be prescriptive of exactly what needs to happen, that we cut off the creative life force that wants to come through from when we come together and what can be created. And none of us can predict it. It's the same when I go for a walk in the park and I'm receiving information and I didn't know what I was going to receive before I decided to go on the walk, but I know I'm in collaboration with all that's around me and I'm open to receive, and then I will act from that. I view it in the same way, even though it's not a person. So I feel that that can be very helpful to make it more practical and not have it be this big thing where you have to spend hours with a whiteboard and have all the answers. It's not about that. It's about the energy you want to be in as you're creating.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that is the divine and the design of living systems. All living systems don't stop at themselves, right? They pass on the nutrients or their whatever that they're doing in the physical body or in the biology of a plant or and so on. So yeah, there is really only one way. Evolution is nobody's immune. I always say this, we are not immune. Excuse me. And moving forward is we are less um what is a good word for that? We are less who we were and more in the constant of becoming. So don't look back. I think if there was one thing to finish from my side would be don't look back. The person you were maybe even this morning, maybe even for sure a year ago is very different to the person that you will be, within the morning and the evening, because you are going to be in that evolutionary um, soup, if you like, of all of the sentient fuels and all of the people that are coming in life and all of your beautiful clients that you attract, and all of the exciting things that you want to put your energy through and flow into flourishing. So thank you. Can I just wanted to really honor you for what you do and for being present with who you truly are, because I know you, and so I know that this is true. You very much such a dedicated being to fulfill um uh, this threshold of returning to thriving and returning, yeah, the entire planet and all of humankind back into this, what you speak of, the regenerative outlets, the regenerative systems that you are supporting. So, is there anything else that you want to share to finish up?
Just that I love you and I think you're awesome. And I feel so blessed that we cross paths. Also, if what I said today, even if you don't work with food, but it resonates and you go, I want to tap into this, I'm always open for conversation and really invite that because we are more of a minority than a majority at this moment. So if this speaks to you, then like we got to connect and again support each other. And everyone has something to offer. Everyone is part of building the future. Nobody is removed from that. And we are all part of the food system, whether you choose to or not, because you're part of nature. So even if you've never thought of yourself that way, let me be the person to tell you that you are very much a part and you have a role to play as a consumer. You have a role to play in whatever way you just steward where you live. Like you are a part of all that is and all that's becoming. And I would love to talk to you.
Wonderful. And I encourage anybody who is being here listening to the wonderful Analisa to please do follow up, because she is she is a pot of gold. And I'm
Oh,
I'm likewise very, very, very delighted and honored to have met you and to have had time with you. And I look forward to much more. So thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us, and for the ones, yeah, for the ones that feel inspired to stand up and be fully yourself. Thank you all so much. Thank you, dear Annalise, and till next time.
till next time.
Much love. Much love.